Namaste friends, as Jupiter is entering the Ashlesha Nakshatra on August 19th, I thought of making a video on this. As usual, this video is going to be very different from the other channels that you watch, because I'm going to talk about the transit phases in the nakshatra as well as remedies and how it impacts each of the ascendant. So the phase 1 occurs on this year from August 19th to October 31st, while the phase 2 occurs next year from the end of January till June in 2027. So, seekers of celestial wisdom, today we stand at the threshold of a profound shift as Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom and grace, enters the enigmatic nakshatra of Ashlesha. This transit is not merely a passing phase, it's a long-term cosmic restructuring occurring in two distinct phases. Phase 1 from August 19th to October 31st. The entry of Jupiter in Ashlesha begins on August 18th-19th around midnight IST, roughly August 19th, 3:37 a.m. and it exists on October 31st, 2026, when Jupiter also moves from Cancer into the Leo sign. That gives a 73-day transit through the Ashlesha this year. And the phase 2 from January to June 2027, here there's the retrograde re-entry into Ashlesha for 2027. January 25th, 2027, Jupiter moving retrograde re-enters Cancer sign at the 30-degree Cancer, which places it back inside Ashlesha Nakshatra, precisely at January 25th at 9:40 p.m. IST. Jupiter then moves backward through Ashlesha. In April 12th to 13th, Jupiter stations direct while still within Ashlesha. After turning direct, it moves forward again through Ashlesha and then Pushya a second time. And finally, in June 25th to 26th, Jupiter finally exits Cancer and Ashlesha for good, crossing into Leo and into Magha Nakshatra finally. So the full second phase pass through Ashlesha runs roughly late January 2027 to sometime in spring, early summer 2027, with the direct station in mid-April happening while Jupiter is still inside Ashlesha. I view this as a rare cosmic dashboard moment. We are witnessing the primary vectors of expansion represented by Jupiter meeting the hidden intellect represented by Mercury, the ruler of Ashlesha. While Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, the sign where Ashlesha resides, there's an underlying friction because Jupiter and Mercury do not share a cordial relationship. Ashlesha, symbolized by the coiled snake, represents things that are hidden, deep, and often misunderstood. Historically, when Jupiter transits this zone, the world experiences significant transformations, ranging from major technological innovations to, unfortunately, wars as well as epidemics. We are entering a period where your growth, Jupiter, will be dictated by how well you navigate your underlying motives and intellectual depth, indicated by Buddha or Mercury. This is a time to move beyond the surface and prepare for a journey into the coiled dimensions of your own destiny. To understand this transit, we must look at the astrological engine driving it. The first component is the force of expansion, Jupiter in Cancer. Here, Jupiter is at its peak strength, exalted, bringing immense potential for growth, systemic amplification, and divine grace. However, this expansion is funneled through the second component, the ruler's intellect, Mercury's Ashlesha. Ashlesha is often considered an enemy territory for Jupiter. It represents calculated communication, underlying motives, and hidden knowledge. This creates a core insight. This transit is not about simple linear growth. It's about deep systemic restructuring. It forces us to use a sharp, serpent-like intellect to manage the massive expansion Jupiter provides. The third critical component is the coiled snake, the Gandanta Zone. Ashlesha sits at the edge of the water sign Cancer just before the transition into the fire sign of Leo. This is a Gandanta point, a knot where cosmic cycles complete. This zone is highly spiritual and can facilitate the awakening of Kundalini energy. But it's also prone to upheaval and emotional turbulence. In this Kali Yuga, many ignore the spiritual potential of Ashlesha, which can lead to difficult results if one is only focused on material gain. You must be prepared for the activation of hidden dimensions in your life. So let's get into the interesting part for which all of you are waiting for, friends. The individual sign predictions. So Aries native, you can read it both from the moon sign as well as the ascendant. So please read it from both to get the complete picture. For Aries native, this transit activates a complex crucible of communication and domesticity. Your activation matrix shows Jupiter in your 4th house, while Mercury influences your 3rd and the 6th houses. This creates a bridge between your home, life, and your daily workplace dynamics. In the expansion zone, you will see a massive acceleration in initiatives related to home renovations, new property acquisitions, or vehicle purchases. Professionally, this is a boon period, particularly for those in media, writing, healthcare, and yoga instruction. If you are a content creator, your ability to speak and write will help you achieve significant goals. Negotiations will be complex but ultimately successful, provided you lean into Mercury-driven detail-oriented communication. However, the contraction zone warns of points of friction. The 4th house activation suggests your mother's health may require strict attention and proactive care. Furthermore, because the 6th house is involved, old workplace rivalries or unresolved maternal relationship issues might resurface. Use this period to address these lingering threads rather than letting them drag on. Your focus on daily routines and health will be your anchor during this busy time. For Taurus natives, you're entering a phase of monetizing the mind. With Jupiter in your 3rd house and Mercury ruling your 2nd and the 5th, the cosmic energy is focused on your intellect, wealth, and creative output. This is an exceptional time for those in education, consultancy, or advisory roles. Your expansion zone is highly lucrative. If you work in knowledge-driven fields like startups or teaching, you can monetize your knowledge very effectively. Creative projects will not only yield significant profits, but also bring you reputation, fame, and a surging client base. It's also a period for crucial, positive family decisions to be finalized. Yet, there is a sharp warning in your contraction zone regarding the speculation risk. While new investment channels will open, the urge to blindly invest in stocks or engage in speculative gambling will be dangerously high. You must resist the impulse to follow new ideas without rigorous vetting. Avoid unnecessary risks and focus on wealth generated through your actual skills and creative initiatives. So for Gemini, you are perhaps the biggest beneficiary of this transit. Jupiter sits in your 2nd house of wealth, activating your 1st self, and the 4th, that is the home houses. This is wonderful, excellent, and very happening period that you must actively utilize. In the expansion zone, your personality magnetism peaks, your speech becomes highly attractive and influential, drawing people to you effortlessly. There is a direct correlation here between your increased workload and surging wealth. Domestically, this is an auspicious time for acquiring luxury items, real estate, or relocating to a home that upgrades your lifestyle. You may even receive benefits through your mother. The only real threat in your contraction zone is passivity. There's no major planetary friction working against you, but the danger is letting this highly favorable window pass by without taking action. This is not the time to sit back. It is a time to spend on family, invest in your persona, and grow your assets. Use the magnetic quality of your personality to lock in gains that will last for years. For Cancer natives, Jupiter is in your sign, but the Ashlesha influence pulls you towards the 12th and the 3rd houses. This creates the profile of the solitary seeker, someone navigating the balance between public redirection and private introspection. Your expansion zone highlights research and redirection. You may see a total transformation in the foreign business dealings involving new client profiles or altered operational terms. Travel is a major theme. You can expect spikes in both short domestic trips and extended overseas journeys. Those engaged in deep research or specialized communication fields will find high success rates. However, the contraction zone brings expenditure and isolation. You are in the phase of shedding old, misaligned relationships in favor of solitude and spiritual pursuits. You may feel more solitude loving during this time. Financially, strict discipline is required. You must differentiate sharply between a mere expense and a true investment. Additionally, your physical health requires heightened vigilance. Do not ignore the body signal as you navigate this spiritually intense period. Leo natives are facing the greatest financial restructure. Jupiter is transiting your 12th house while Mercury is activating your 11th house of gains and second house of wealth. This creates a dynamic where high income and high expenditure happen simultaneously. The expansion zone offers significant opportunities for foreign income and expansion of multinational professional networks. This is a rare window to develop elite professional contacts, both domestically and abroad. If you have been looking to build a robust long-term financial framework for future stability, now is the time to lay the foundation. The challenge lies in the contraction zone, heavy outflow. Expenses are shifting from a possibility to a certainty. You may face high costs related to major home renovations, medical care for family members, or massive life events like auspicious ceremonies. Because you will have both high income and high expenditure, you must practice ruthless prioritization of resources. Do not let the gains from your network be immediately drained by unplanned outflows. Manage the 12th house drain with careful planning. Virgo, this is an incredibly powerful transit for you. Jupiter is in your 11th house of profits, activating your 10th house of career and your first house of self. This is the definition of peak authority. In your expansion zone, you can expect immediate career growth, including swift promotions, highly successful interviews, and even benefits from government sources. Your leadership qualities will emerge strongly, matched by deep and widespread public support. Your personality will shine, making you popular and helping you connect with a strong network of influential people. Interestingly, this transit is also very favorable for your father's career, reflecting a general enhancement of the workplace environment for the whole family. The contraction zone is not about lack but about demand management. As your magnetism and public demand reach their peak, you will be inundated with new opportunities and connections. The risk here is burnout or losing momentum by spreading yourself too thin. You must carefully manage these high-level connections to sustain the momentum Jupiter is providing. Take full advantage of this time to lock in your professional status. For Libra, Jupiter is in the 10th house, is activating your 9th house of fortune and 12th house of foreign ties. This transit is about expanding ethical horizon where your career takes on a spiritual or higher purpose dimension. Your expansion zone is rich with academic breakthroughs and institutional ties. Research students may uncover lucrative new income streams. Major institutional alignments are likely, often involving foreign travel for work or vital machinery factory investments. Your career trajectory is shifting. You might find yourself looking at your professional life from a profoundly deeper spiritual or ethical perspective. However, the contraction zone bonds of capital and health outflows. Significant and unavoidable work-related capital expenditures are required. Think of these necessary investments for the future. More importantly, medical expenses are highly likely, specifically regarding your own health or your father's well-being. While the career growth is spiritual and expansive, you must remain grounded by taking care of the physical health of yourself and your elders. Scorpio natives are entering a phase I call the alchemist reward. Jupiter transits your 9th house of fortune, activating the 8th house of research and the 11th house of gain. This is a potent combination for those who work with hidden systems. In the expansion zone, this is an exceptional transit for astrologers, psychologists, tax experts, and investigators. You can expect sudden, unexpected financial gains, manifesting through esoteric and research-heavy fields. It's a time where getting to the bottom of things pays off literally and figuratively. The contract zone, however, is volatile. The 8th and the 11th house axis makes the health of both yourself and your father vulnerable. This is also high risk of false defamation especially if you're currently running a Mercury or Jupiter Mahadasha. Your personal conduct and speech must be flawlessly guarded. In the world of Ashlesha, the snake, one wrong word can be poisonous to your reputation. Stay focused on your deep research and let your results speak for themselves rather than engaging in loose talk. Sagittarius natives are navigating transformational alliances. Jupiter is in your 8th house, activating your 7th house of partnerships and 10th house of career. This creates a unique bridge where your closest relationships directly impact your public standing. Your expansion zone centers on strategic partnerships. You are likely to attract partners either in business or marriage who radically elevate your long term career standing. Some may enter into joint ventures or secure important hidden opportunities that lead to sudden gains. Marriage and close personal relationships will have a direct and positive impact on your career growth during this phase. The contraction zone warns of boundaries and volatility. There is a high risk of personal relationships bleeding into and negatively distracting you from your personal duties. The 8th house transit can bring underlying emotional volatility. You must actively manage your time and emotions so that you don't get so involved in relationship drama that you neglect your work. Maintain clear boundaries to ensure the transformation remains positive. For Capricorn natives, Jupiter is in your 7th house, activating the 6th house of disputes and 9th house of fortune. This creates a scenario of being bound by paper, where success comes through legal clarity and partnership. In the expansion zone, this is a highly auspicious timing for marriage news and forming lucrative foreign business partnerships. You may also find a deepening interest in a disciplined health regimes such as yoga or pranayama, which will yield profound success. Higher educational opportunities may also act as a direct trigger for international travel. The contraction zone focuses on contractual vulnerability because the 6th house, disputes, enemies, is activated. Every partnership requires total transparency. You must avoid all verbal agreements for any partnership contract to survive the 6th house friction. It must have defined responsibilities and ironclad written terms. My advice is clear: do not base anything on trust alone during this transit. Put it on paper to ensure the 9th house fortune can actually manifest. For Aquarius natives, you're invited to become the occult scholar. Jupiter in your 6th house is activating your 5th house of intelligence and 8th house of hidden sciences. While Jupiter in 6th is often considered difficult, the Ashlesha influence makes this a mastery period. Your expansion zone is the ultimate window for mastering occult sciences like astrology, tantra, tarot, and even the Akashic records. Data analysts, PhD researchers, and investigative agents will thrive behind the scenes. Furthermore, the children of Aquarius natives are likely to perform exceptionally well in their respective domain during this time. In the contraction zone, you must watch your digestion and avoid speculative risk. Physical vulnerability during this phase centers squarely on the digestive system. While long-term investments are favored, all speculative gambling or unnecessary risk must be entirely avoided. Focus your energy on behind-the-scenes research and learning rather than trying to make a quick buck. And friends, finally we move to the last sign in the zodiac, Pisces or Meena. You are experiencing the flourishing health. Jupiter is in your 5th house, activating the 4th house of home and the 7th house of marriage. This is an intensely protective and positive transit for your foundational happiness. In the expansion zone, expect direct family growth, which could manifest as marriages, the birth of a child, or the beginning of a serious new love relationship. If you already have children, they may bring great honor through educational or career breakthroughs. This is also a peak time for upgrading foundational comforts such as successful home renovations, property purchases, or buying a new vehicle. Students and teachers will find this time particularly favorable. The only shadow is the Saturn's shadow in the contraction zone, because Saturn is currently in Pisces, while Jupiter is showering you with joy. You must consciously balance this with the ongoing structural pressures of Saturn in your ascendants, or Sadesati is Meena Rashi, and Saturn located in your ascendant. Don't let the joy of Jupiter lead to complacency. Keep meeting the structural demands Saturn requires of you. This transit is a gift. Use it to build a happy, stable base. So friends, as we come to the close, to conclude, let's look at the universal remedy matrix to navigate this Jupiter in Ashlesha Nakshatra transit. Since Mercury and Jupiter are the key players and both are connected to Lord Vishnu, he is our primary focus for protection. Spiritual harmonics. Jupiter. Chant the Jupiter mantra Om Gram Greem Gram Saha Guruve Namaha to ground the Ashlesha's coiled serpent energy. Recite the Vishnu Sahasranama. A focus on the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is also highly recommended. Philanthropic action. Both the planets rule intellect. The best remedy is to help students. If you know of any needy students who need help, directly fund a student's education through fees, or donate books, notebooks, or pens, or simply donate your time by helping youth with their homework or teaching, lecturing, if possible. A behavioral restraint. Mercury. Ashlesha can lead to poisonous speech. You must immediately cease offering unsolicited advice. Enforce a zero tolerance policy for gossip, backbiting, or loose talk. Ensure all professional communication is measured, transparent, and legally documented. By following these remedies, you harmonize the expansion of Jupiter with the sharp intellect of Mercury, ensuring this transit brings wisdom rather than the bite. So friends, thank you for staying with me till the end. And if you like my content, please help by clicking the like button as well as the subscribe button so that you get notification on the new transit videos as soon as it is released. Thank you for staying with me once again till the end. Hara Hara Mahadeva.